everyone, this is Lightstar, and we're going to talk about light language. Yes, we're going to talk a lot about light language, what it is, and some of the things that are coming in from questions that I've gotten from over the years, as well as some new information that I'm bringing forth about light language, language of light, universal galactic language, however you want to call it. So stay tuned, because there's going to be some great information in here for a lot of you who have been questioning about different aspects of light language. So I'm going to cover a large, broad area of this, so you're going to want to stick around for that. Maybe get some of your questions answered that you've had about it, and bringing some new information for the people that are just joining us as well. So let's dive right in to this awesome topic. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Lightstar. I am going to share some information today. We're going to learn a lot about light language, language of light, and sometimes people call it universal galactic language, or so many different terms out there. I personally like soul language, but that's just me. So I have been getting a lot of questions over the years of what light language is, what am I experiencing, how come I'm experiencing this, that, or the other thing. And I know I created an original video a long time ago, many years. I don't even know if it was like 8 years ago or something. But I did create one video that you can look up on my YouTube channel that is about light language, what it is in the basic sense, and some samples of light language in there as well. And today we're going to cover a few things that have expanded since then, and some things I'd like to share with you about this. So for those of you just joining us for the first time, welcome. Glad to have you guys here. My channel has a lot of different information, so you can go check out different videos. But if you'd also like to join this beautiful community and this tribe, go ahead and hit the YouTube subscribe button. I like to just call it joining the tribe. And also make sure to hit the notifications bell so that you get notified of new content when it comes out. So let's dive in, okay? Because I want this this video to explain about light language and at the basic core of what it is, yes, but we're going to go a little bit further into this because I've been seeing so many of the comments and different experiences that you're all having, and even some questions that have come in. So I'm going to try to address some things and also bring in some things that I feel are very important about light language that maybe I feel haven't been expressed as much perhaps, or maybe you've missed or something, and I want to bring that forth, okay? So first thing I want to do is just basically share what light language is. Now, many of you guys already know, but for those of you who don't, or just getting into experiencing light language, it is a language that I like to term as more of an energetic language. And by that, that's why I like the term of soul language even better than what is out there right now, even though I still use the word light language, or the term, and some people like language of light, or universal galactic language is common. But there are many different types of frequencies that come through in an energetic form when people speak light language, okay? So it's not going to be like your earthbound languages here, okay? It's not the same. And it's definitely going to be more encodements that are coming through. And I'm going to share a lot more about what my particular role is in bringing this light language. I am speaking for my own expression of light language here. I'm not speaking for everybody who speaks light language out there on YouTube and everywhere else. They may have different roles, they may have different missions. So I'm going to bring forth so that you're a little more clear on what my mission is and how it may have changed as well. So I'm going to share some information on that. But light language at the core is an energetic soul language. So what does that mean? It means that language is to be interpreted, translated, experienced from what? The heart, the soul, not from the mind. Now that's very different than how we are now in today's world and how we have been in terms of when you bring yourself here on the planet and come through a body and into the world. You are learning, you're going to at some point learn English, French, German, all the different languages that you come from in the region that you're born into. So that is our earthbound languages. Now that is very different than the light language, because now I want to distinguish a little bit here, because light language expands your field. It's an energy, so it's going to expand your energy and it's going to work on your energy and in your energetic field, okay? It's going to work on it past the three-dimensional, the 3D, okay? So it's not going to be explained, understood from all these different realms in the 3D. And that's what I really want to get across, because the next point is about translation. The number one thing that I get on my channel is questions about translating what I'm saying, translating what it means. Can you translate this? I even have a lot of people sending me their different light languages that they're speaking and want me to translate them for them. So this has become a really big, I don't want to say issue, but I just want to express how it's different than what we're thinking we want to get it translated. And I understand that, because all of us want to get what does it mean and all of that. It's very human-like to have to know why and what we're doing, okay? But let me just say, the translation is not the priority with light language, and particularly in my realm, because it really needs to be translated from the soul at the heart level and not from the mind. Now, I will say, when I first started to bring through light language, I will say when it was starting to come through, and there's many different things I've talked about how that has come through for me, but in the beginning, what I wanted to do was translate. It's a very natural desire to have when you're first bringing through this stuff. You want to know what you're saying and be able to translate it word for word. And I started to do that in the very beginning, to be able to bring some translations. But what happened along the lines of that process is that my higher self, and also my higher guidance that I have, was proceeding to tell me in this time frame, in this timeline, right here in this timeline right now, in linear time, I guess, they were sharing with me that they did not want me to translate these different kinds of frequencies coming through, because the energies of these languages are very important, and their encodements and their divine light codes and their energies, okay? And because they're to be experienced more from that energetic frequency, that soul level, we want to put the mind off to the side when we're listening, so that we can bring through our own translations, meaning you guys, all of your different translations, because what light language brings to one person may be completely different for someone else, or the next person, or the next person. And so that's why they said for me to translate these languages is kind of like taking all this 5D and above beautiful energy, this source energy, these divine codes and transmissions, and to squeeze them down into a funnel, into a 3D funnel, okay? What that does, by squeezing it through the funnel, you're actually diluting the entirety of the energy that was existing. So it's not to say that you won't get anything from it in that way, but it does dilute the wholeness about it. And so one of the ways that I have been told to not kind of do the translations, but to also bring through some information about what is coming through, is that I will be given the generality, if that's a word, probably not, but I just made it up, generality of what is coming through. Okay, the frequency, the energy, and the transmission that may be coming through that I'm bringing forth at that time might be, for instance, clearing the heart or opening the heart, or clearing the mind in the energy field of the mind, or grounding oneself into Gaia or into the earth to feel more balanced here. So I'll get the overall message of what is the translation is coming through. Not to say that couldn't be different for 3 other people, but they also are giving me the overall, translation or interpretation of the energy field that's coming forth, right? So that is the general information that I bring through, so that we can have a beautiful sacred space, that is laid out and very grounded, and so that way people feel a little bit better too. But I don't want everybody to go into dissecting the translations, okay? Now, because I started out doing this, the reason why I was translating in the beginning is because I have an aspect of myself that actually does all of this light language. It's not really called light language there, but bringing through different languages in other realms for the purpose of negotiation and helping to translate. So I look at myself in that respect as a combination of, remember Lieutenant Uhura in the original Star Trek? Okay, a lot of you guys are gonna remember her. And then remember Deanna Troi in Star Trek Next Generation. Well, if you blended the 2 of those beings together, that's kind of what my role is like in these other realms. So I am doing some translating there, as well as being more of an empath and bringing through the true nature of the intentions or whatnot of the different species. So that is why when I first started to bring through, it started to become translation. And I wanted to do that. But this is where it gets a little bit interesting, is that when you're bringing through your soul mission, doesn't always have to look like exactly what you're doing in the other realms. Frequently, it actually shifts when it gets down here. And that may be because you have chosen as a soul to bring that through differently, or you want to bring it through differently, or it's just your higher guidance is saying they're not ready for that yet. And that's kind of what it is here in this case. Not to say this is not putting anyone down, it's just that our consciousness is getting better. We are raising our consciousness, obviously, because light language is now all over the internet where it was not before. So it actually has opened up the lens, but it's not quite understood as it needs to be from the energetic and soul level before we can start opening up the translations in a different and new way. It'll be on a different level at that regard. So I may come back and do translations more in the future, but I also want to, I don't rule that out. And I also want to say that other people that are on this planet may have different missions. Maybe your mission, if you're doing light language, is to bring translations to this realm here. By all means, yes, go for it. That's your role. That's your mission. And that's what you're guided to do. But I have just been a little bit shifted into really bringing you guys through to having experiences and to opening up to the flavors, the different flavors, because I speak so many languages, bringing these flavors out so that you can get that first, because I feel the energy, the totality, and the wholeness of it is, that's what I want you guys to experience first, okay? So that's a little bit on translation. I get a lot of questions on that, so I just wanted to address it because it's the number one thing that I feel is an important thing for myself to get across to everybody when listening to these languages, okay? So let's go into a little bit about what these languages are doing for you. Now, I'm going to say this from my own perspective here on what these languages over the course of years that I've seen have and are doing for other people, what it's bringing for you guys. This is through the nature of my own private sessions, what I've experienced and seen, and also the comments that I receive from all of you on the different languages that are coming through in the different videos I have. So what I'm going to bring through is basically transmuting, transmuting, that is a good way, it's not what I was going to say, but transmuting energies that need to be removed is a big one. So we're transmutation of lower or heavier dimensional energies, okay? Also bringing through the transmitting divine light codes, and these divine light codes are going to expand your field, okay? So we have transmutation, and then we also have transmissions that open up the divine light codes that come into your energy field, and they kind of reverberate out into your energy. I liken myself to like a tuning fork. So I'm like the tuning fork, and as soon as the frequency of that language comes through, it goes through my body, goes through waves, and then ripples out, and other people are going to receive it either through video or presentation or wherever I am, wherever that's coming through. The other thing is energetic and cellular shifts. Okay, this actually, the languages will come down and hit at a cellular level. And this is very frequent. So it soaks in, it actually penetrates our, I want to say even our the shields that we put up a lot of times. It actually goes through and penetrates through to the cellular level, because it's a natural sort of like source energy. It's a source energy of the creator, of, the space of, I don't want to say using that word because it's not limited. It's a limitlessness of it, and that permeates because it's coming from a higher frequency. And so that's kind of one thing, that it goes to the cellular level, and it does end up shifting at that level. Now, it also, one thing I've noticed is that what I'm bringing also helps to activate people to speak their own light language. And this happens a lot just on my videos, but also happens in private session. I've learned that my energy frequency actually helps people to open up and start to speak their own languages, whether it be your mother tongue, which is what I call the one that's the earliest or the most native or the most comfortable one that comes to you. The earliest is usually what I call the mother tongue, but that's the one that frequently opens up. It could be another language that opens up too. It doesn't have to be that one, but I've also seen a lot of times people opening up to the light languages of their own or the mother tongue, and being quite surprised that happens. So the other thing is bringing healing, support, and balance to the body, mind, and spirit. Okay, a lot of times, like I said, if there's a certain frequency that's coming through that is there to calm and soothe the energy, which is frequently what I end up doing because all of us need that so much. And so a lot of the energies come through to help balance on that level. Now, they will also help to balance the emotions, which we sometimes need to, is to, either we're feeling a little bit off, like a roller coaster ride, and then this comes into frequency language will come in to help balance, and those different codes that come through help to either balance or ground or calm or soothe. And we're also experiencing sometimes when we have languages that we don't understand, from that level of the mind or whatnot, it tends to bypass some of the mental barriers that we have of understanding, so that it actually can help to also surface memories, because a lot of you guys have these memories that I see coming up, memories of the past or memories of another place or memories of we'll talk about that in a little bit later, about some of the things that come up from past or other aspects of yourself in different dimensions and different things. So it can surface memories. And I'm also bringing through clearing through one of the things I do in my private sessions in my phase 2 is my chakra clearing with light language. So it's very my exclusive way of creating this to help to clear your chakras and to help clear your energy out. And I do that very uniquely with the chakras that I have been able to pinpoint which chakras, pinpointing them to the certain language or certain languages that come through for those chakras to help them clear best, and also to help them in different ways. So like phase 2 is my clearing, and then we have another phase which is the upgrade. So we're either then taking it to another level with light language. So that's another way. I mean, there's a few different other ways, but I wanted just to give you a basic idea of what the languages have been and are doing for people as they are listening to them on my channel or in session work. So, so what I want to do is just a couple tips too that I wanted to share with you guys about when you're out there listening to my videos and other people's videos, but particularly mine. I want to also implore all of you to watch the entire video. Okay, this is very important because a lot of people will go, I want to just skip to the activation and just skip over everything that you've been saying, just get to the activation. Now, and so that's why a lot of people want the timestamps, you know, and the reason why I'm not giving timestamps out to just go to that is basically because there are certain information that I'm bringing through in the beginning part, perhaps, of the video before. A lot of times I'm showing the artwork, so the artwork is very important, but I'm also bringing in information and characteristics about that race that I'm also sharing. Different things will come in from my voice and things that I've been told that I'm bringing through to also further activate. So if you skip to the part of just the light language and the first time you watch it, you're gonna miss all of that. So I don't want you guys to miss some of this stuff. And if you're watching it repeatedly and you've already watched it all the way through, obviously you can skip to it then, but in the beginning, you wanna be able to just have a whole like grasp of everything, particularly those of you who are just starting out listening to light language. I want to tell you that the frequencies are very potent, and they can, if you're not grounded and you're not taking your time with this stuff, you can blow a circuit in a lot of ways. Okay, so I want to really stress for you guys to take it slowly. And the other point about this is to not go on and listen to like 10 or 15 light language activations in one sitting in a half hour. Okay, don't do that. That's too much. You can't really assimilate that much anyway when you're doing that, but it can tend to overwire or exert your nervous system. We don't want that because you can have headaches and you can have all sorts of things, which we're going to talk about so that you're aware of this too. But just make sure that you're taking your time and pace yourself with it to actually feel it, let it integrate, and let yourself understand and experience some new emotions, feelings, extract the goodness from it, get what you need to get, integrate it, and then you can move on. Not to say you can't listen to more than one, but just a lot of you don't, listen to way too many of them at one time. I also have some triple encodement in my videos, which someone has beautifully pointed out as well, that there are certain timestamps of when they do start. I didn't plan those, but there are certain timestamps on them that they get like kind of triple encoded with the numbers, the actual time and the numbers of when it starts or when you're getting activated. So I want people to also realize that that's there. But the main thing is, if you're advanced and you want to move on to just the light languages at the activation, that's fine. If you are just starting out and beginning, please at least watch the video at least once so you get the whole gist of it and don't just skip to what you guys call the good part. Okay, it's not like I'm forcing you to do that. Obviously you can do whatever you want. I'm just trying to share that I do bring some encodements in through the rest of it that is behind the in my voice, through the energies, what I'm sharing and how I'm bringing it forth. That is also part of the activation. Okay, so what I want to do with all of that said is that I really want to just share, I guess, more about what you might experience. Okay, what are some of the things that you might experience when you are listening to light language, experiencing light language, the activations? What are some things that you might be experiencing? I'm going to split this into two different halves here. We're going to talk about some of the more expanded and uplifting, I guess, experiences, and then some of the more challenging ones that may be a little more difficult to understand. So let me address some of those first, okay? So let's dive into some of the more positive things that you might experience, or and it could be physical, could be emotional, could be mental, all these different things that are happening and perhaps why, okay? So the first thing that I've seen on the positive side of things, it's not really as positive, negative, it's just a matter of like more on the, positive spectrum of what we would think of as good feelings or expanded feelings. So the first thing is that sense of expansion. Okay, so there might be a sense of expansion that you might feel overall in your permeating in your energy field, where you just feel this opening or kind of an expanded feeling that is a lot of times will also feel very reminiscent for a lot of you. You might feel, gosh, this feels familiar. I can hear that a lot about the familiarity of the sense of what it's bringing for you, okay? So that might be one thing. Also just a general expanding in your field. The other thing that you might feel is a tingling or tingling sensation, okay? Sometimes you could also experience chills, like the chills that kind of run down your spine, and sometimes it can run through different areas of your body. This is a really common one, and actually this is one of the top sensations that I personally experience when I hear light language. And for those of you wondering, yes, my own light language actually activates me as well. Believe it or not, I didn't know that was going to happen, but when I listen to my stuff back, I'm like activated just like you guys are. So it's really true. Like it's very weird that I activate myself, but it is true, and I do. So that's what happens to me is I get this sort of wave. For me, it feels like a wave, a sensation that comes through, and it typically comes through this area of my body, over my shoulders and down through my neck and kind of down through my back. So that's personally how I feel it the most. But it depends on what the language is or what's coming through. And these are generalities. It could be totally different for you guys, but I'm sharing some of the collected over the years of the most common things that people experience while they're hearing it or getting an activation. So that's the other thing is chills, tingling sensations in different areas of your body. There may be temperature shifts, okay? Sometimes it could be warmth or actually it could be colder depending on what is happening there. But typically I feel kind of like people saying there's like a warmth that kind of comes over them and they feel a little warm or even sometimes hot, okay? No, you may not be having a hot flash right at that time. Yes, you might be having a hot flash right at that time, ladies, but generally speaking, it's if you're, weren't having it and you repeatedly have it while you're listening, it's probably not just the hot flash, okay? Just clarifying there. Temperature shifts, okay? So memories may surface. Things that come to, like I said before, there may be some things that come in. You don't know why you're having this memory. It just came in and you saw yourself in another realm. You see pictures or you see images or sounds even can come through, and feelings as well of that could be very reminiscent, very familiar as well. Things that are coming up. A lot of people have a sensation of joy, peace, happiness, bliss. These kinds of emotions can be very, very common, and also bringing in a sense of balance to your day. You might have been 10 million different places, your mind's going everywhere, you're not grounded, and then all of a sudden you hear the light language and it just kind of pulls you back into yourself, pulls you back into your soul. And it kind of brings you into a state of groundedness, even though at some point you can sense a feel of like spaciness a little bit too. But everything I do is always bringing in through grounded, centered, and balanced, even if it's very starseed and very out there. Very important that is a component, because we have to be centered and grounded here. So I bring light language in a very centered and grounded way for you all. And that's one really common thing. This is a kind of interesting that I have noticed, and I experienced this as myself as well, is that when I hear light language being spoken, or I sometimes am speaking it myself, even this happens when I'm creating custom light language activations for people, the audio activations I do, I will have like a part of my body will just kind of jerk, just kind of like that, just like this. And I don't know if I did that very well, but it's very spontaneous movement. And it could be an arm, it could be a shoulder, it could be in my head, it's something, or my foot, or my leg, something just jerked like really quick. Now that's a really interesting one, because I didn't know what this was at first when I was like, what happened? Well, typically when you're experiencing that, like I said before, light language goes to the core. It's going to go to the soul, but it also goes through your DNA, and it goes through your physical body, and it goes through all your cells and everything. Well, it also goes through your nervous system, and the nervous system picks that up, and it's actually feeding the nervous system, or getting in an activation, I should say, triggering more of this sort of nervous system. And that is one reason why I say to you guys, be very careful in how much you're listening to it and overdoing it, because you don't want to stress out your nervous system. We want to activate it and nourish it and help it to stimulate it to expand and grow. But we also want to, not overdo it, because I know I did this one time when I just allowed all this energy to pour through my body every day, this high frequency energy, and I was feeling great and everything. But then I started noticing my hands were starting to like shake. Okay, they start to shake. Well, I realized that my nervous system was getting a little too activated for what was coming in. My body, my physical body it was imbalanced. And so I had to stop and just kind of tailor off. And then I took some magnesium, which helps with that. So sometimes you can always counterbalance it by helping the body and bringing nourishment to it with what it needs. But I always want to just say be careful with that. But that's why a lot of that stuff happens. Maybe not be the only reason why, but I have noticed it and asked, and that's kind of what it's doing. It's going through the nervous system. The other thing that I noticed too is that it can help people to take immediate actions that they have been sitting on the fence, waiting and waiting and waiting. And then something in you shifts and you get more motivated and you get more inspired afterwards to actually put something into place that you hadn't before. Maybe it's a creative project. Maybe it's you needing to make a decision and you finally just get something to make it. And you're like, okay, good, I'm gonna go. And so it gives you that sort of motivation. So these are some of I want to say more on the positive spectrum of some of the things that will activate you and how it will come to pass in your physical body, mind, spirit, whatnot. Just some of them. I'm bringing it a little bit more up to date of what I've seen and giving you the highlights there. Now let's talk about some of the things that could be on the more challenging side of the perspective of the spectrum for people. It doesn't mean it's negative. It just means that it's some of the more physical sensations or different things that might happen that people might go, why did I have that? Why did that happen? Because it's not as this, overflowing with love that just pours in like some of the positive stuff. So it doesn't mean that you're not getting activated, and it doesn't mean that, all of a sudden you had some, entity jumping in you. Now, yes, you could have that happen to you, but it's not going to happen from my stream. That's going to be happening from your own stream. So here, what I want to share is some of these activations that happen, or that we're speaking light language and you're getting activated. Sometimes people could feel a pressure feeling. Okay, this is like pressure. Typically, it's going to be in the head area, but it doesn't limit it to that. Sometimes people feel pressure in their chest or pressure in their back or something, pressure feeling. And what's happening in that is that the energy of light language, okay, the codes, the spectrums of codes and the different things that are going through energetically are going through your energy field in your body, and it's hitting a resistance point. It's hitting a challenge. It's hitting a blockage of energy. So it's going to want to go through, like the energy of the light language and all this wants to go through and wants to flow, and it wants to upgrade, and all these flowing energies. And then it hits like a rock and it's got to try to either go over the rock or under the rock or around the rock. And sometimes that experience tends to feel like pressure. And sometimes, when I talked about this earlier about people feeling headachy or getting headaches or something when they listen to too much language, or you're overdoing it, overstimulating it, it builds up and you might get like a migraine headache or something. So it just means chill out, go take a bath, go out in nature, go do something to relax, get some of the energy flowing again. And the other thing to do is breathe. If you're experiencing it while you are hearing the language, breathe very deeply into that area. Okay, so imagine breath coming into your entire brain if it's in your head, and opening that channel up and expanding it, kind of removing some of the challenge. You can visualize that, but just allowing that to breathe. So it's like your heart begins to breathe, or your head begins to breathe in that way. The other thing that might come up is sadness. Now, why would sadness come up when you're speaking light language or hearing it? Why would somebody feel sad or kind of, emotionally just feeling lost or whatever? What's happening is it's releasing emotions as part of what's in there, okay, may need to have a transmutation, and it needs to come out or needs to come to the surface, okay? It could be from the memory that you experience, and then you have this beautiful memory and then all of a sudden you feel sad about it. That can happen too, where you're actually needing to heal in some way, and by doing that, it's giving you a chance to have the emotion come up, to have it have a place, have it be in your space, let it be okay, and have it come out. So don't stuff it back in. That's the main thing, is to allow this sadness to be there for the moment, and just acknowledge it, and let it to, if you need to cry or tears come. Okay, the tears could be coming from sadness. They could also be coming from happiness. So there's a twofold thing. These cross over into the positive or the challenge, but it's really, it could be either or, it could be both. It just, this happiness comes out, you're just like overjoyed that something kind of broke free, right? So you feel a release, and then sometimes it's more of a sadness because you have a blockage in there, maybe in your heart space, the emotional pain of something in your past or whatnot comes to the surface, and now it just wants to have an outlet so that you can release that and let it go. So this is another thing that comes up is this is very interesting, because I have seen this happen a couple of times, when someone feels repelled by the language. Okay, so you would think, like, why would that happen? But it does, okay? We'll explain a little bit about this. So someone feeling repelled by this language, or angry, okay? They could feel agitation, irritation, or anger even. Repelling, resisting it, feeling these kind of negative lower emotions when you're experiencing light language. Why would that happen? Well, what I've asked about this, and I've received a couple of different things on the answer to this, which could be many different things. Obviously, these are generalities, so individual situations might be better suited if you have a private session with me, because I can't answer every single different, variation here. But I have noticed that at time where somebody had, say, a memory that's coming up, or even if they didn't have the memory in a visual sense, they were feeling it. So, for instance, let's just say I am speaking the language of Orion, okay? Speaking this Orion language, it's coming out, and someone is feeling very agitated or fearful, okay? Fearful is in that same, any kind of lower emotion, agitation, anger, fearful, this comes up. Well, you could have, had an experience in the Orion Wars. Okay, many of you guys been through the Orion Wars, so we talk about that in another video, but it's a real thing. And this is something that a lot of the races could have had some negative experiences. You could think of it as like past lives, but it's really maybe another aspect of you in another realm. So as, you know, for instance, so just say one of in your past or your aspect of being Lyran, let's just say, experienced a negative experience with an Orion. Okay, it may have been in the Orion Wars. It may have been around the time of Lyra being destroyed, and had something to do with one of the Orions that got in your way, that killed your family. This would be the negative Orions, not the original Orions, but the ones that turned to the dark side or whatever, that may have killed your whole family, right? So when you hear, you know, an Orion stream, the first thing that's going to come up is either anger, fear, irritation, agitation, frustration, or you're just going to be flat out repelled. It's something that comes up, and I wanted people to be aware of this, that it may be that. Okay, there could be very many different variations of that scenario and other scenarios, but it could just be that. Okay, other past lives, it could be a past life as well, and just some kind of situation that I would call needs to have a karmic cleanup. Okay, so what it's doing is it just brings it to the surface, and now you're kind of more aware of it, so now you can look a little bit deeper into the reason why that came up. Okay, very interesting, and wanted to put that out there. Now, some of you guys may tend to fall asleep. I've seen this happen. I've heard about this happening too. And if you are taken out, or you fall asleep while listening to an activation. Now, it's kind of interesting why that would happen, but there may be cases where your higher self, your guides that are around you, the angels, whatever that's around you, wants you to experience something at a different level, at a deeper level, and you're not going to get it unless you kind of are asleep, or you're in that state of very, very, you know, almost asleep, you know, in that way. Or they just kind of take you out and put you to sleep so that you can experience it. So you may be a little bit bewildered or something, like, oh gosh, what just happened? I just lost track of time or something like that. But just know that may happen as well. It's not, you know, the most common thing in the world, but I just wanted to point it out. The other thing too that can come up is shifts in lifestyle. And this could be experiencing a shift in your diet, in your exercise routine, in making decisions to move people out of your life that need to go, or opening up to new people in your life to let them come in. So that could be a variant of the different languages and different scenarios that might happen or may shift. That certainly happens in my session work, in my private sessions when we're working privately, but it can also happen at some of the other videos on, you know, just the general videos here. And then I also want to talk about fatigue. This is another one of those things about falling asleep, but also just feeling more tired after the activation. You could either feel more tired or you could either feel more energized. It's like one of the two, right? Could be any one of the spectrum in between there, but some of it also is giving you time to process. I have seen a lot of you people that process by yawning, okay? So when I see a lot of people yawning, especially in private session when I'm doing Skype sessions, and I've noticed it too, not everybody, but there's quite a few people that actually process by yawning. So it's not always that they're so tired and they're falling asleep, is that their brain is trying to process it. And when you yawn, it actually legitimately brings in more oxygen to your brain. So it will start maybe a yawning reflex, and then it just kind of is the process. Okay, so it's not really a negative thing, but I just wanted to point that out. Some people have asked, like, why am I yawning or why do I get really tired? So it's two different things, because you have to associate whether when you're yawning, do you also feel really tired? Or if you're yawning and you just don't know why you're yawning all of a sudden, but you're not really feeling tired, then that's a different situation, okay? And then lastly, I want to talk about sometimes you don't feel anything, okay? It's not like I'm saying, hey, everyone is going to feel every situations, they're going to feel something with these light languages. That's not always the case. Some people, especially people that are skeptical, although I have seen people that are very skeptical and then have an experience that they can't explain and then, can't really explain it. So that means they had an experience, right? But not everyone is going to have, I want to say, experiences with the languages, with every single language. Meaning, if I speak one language to you, you may or may not feel something. You may or may not have a reaction. I mean, at some level, it's always going to be kind of interesting and do something for you, but it may not. But if I speak another language, so say I bring in a Andromedan, you didn't feel anything maybe with the Pleiadian, although who wouldn't feel something with the Pleiadian because it's all about the heart. But anyway, but then all of a sudden, you're actually feeling this overwhelming expansion from when you hear Andromedan. And you didn't feel that much when you're hearing Pleiadian. So there is a difference between these different streams, which is why I'm actually bringing through many different streams, so we give an opportunity for at least 1 out of the 10 or 1 out of the 25 that I'm speaking now, that you will actually receive some kind of benefit or shift or change or emotion or something, okay? So I think I've covered a lot here, and I wanted to do this because this is kind of the keeping you up to date on the newest light language stuff that's been going on, and also what I've been experiencing in session work, and some of you guys have asked these questions, so I really wanted to address as much as I possibly could in this video. And you can share this video with some other people that you think might be interested in light language and might want to go check out my channel perhaps and look at my playlists. I have a playlist that's all on my light language activations, and you can go through, pick out which ones resonate with you the most, and listen to some of them to get some visual on the ones that I have the new artwork that's associated with them, and then others that don't have the artwork yet, or just who knows, maybe I'm just not going to do the artwork for that one, but I still did the light language activation for it. So yes, please do check all that out. I have a lot of content on there for you. If you all would like to work with me privately, I do have session work that I work with you guys privately, many different ways. So you can check out my starseed, my interdimensional starseed alignment sessions are the ones that are the most popular, but I also have oracle readings. I have ways of bringing in the light codes for you in a art form. So lots of activation there in my light language activations through artwork, through custom art, and also through custom audio activations that can be more tailored for you. And I also want to talk about, for those of you interested in learning more about light language, I do have my Light Language Foundations audio class that actually has a lot of content in there as well about light language, what it is, what the different purposes are for other people using it. A lot of great content in there, as well as a full healing in there. This is it's basically my phase 2 is in that foundations class, where you get to experience, in a general sense, a full 45-minute clearing with light language. And then you also get a 25-minute shorter version where you get to actually speak your own light language. So it's really potent, and it helps to clear the field. I'm not working on, obviously, your individual personal issues that if you want to do that, then definitely have the session work. But this is a great way to also have some healing work done in a general way and getting yourself experience using the light language, and helping to prompt you to bring out your own mother tongue or light languages as well, and to get activated just in general. So go check that out, and so many other things. I have all my artwork for sale as well. For any of you who would like to donate to my channel here, because it's a lot of work for me to actually do this. I do my own filming and my own editing and all everything that comes into play here. I'd love for you guys to donate. I will have the link as well in the description area. So I love you guys. Don't forget my Magical Dimensions Oracle cards, which are always potent and activating and awesome, and you can buy those as well. So many other things you can check out on my website, which is lightstarcreations.com. So I hope you've enjoyed this content. Please share it, like it, whatever, join the channel, the tribe here if you'd like to get, I bring out content all the time here. And but this was a really big, important download for all of you guys to keep you up to date and to give you some guidance and assistance while you're listening to the activations. More coming up, so please stay tuned, and again, hit the notifications bell so that you make sure you get notified. I love you guys. I am looking forward to bringing more content. Want to send you love from the angelics, the galactics, and the elementals, so that you can go forth and flourish with happiness, joy, peace, love, and serenity. I love you guys, and we'll talk soon. Bye now.